So you should be able to see the slide. Um, welcome again. I am Ethan Su. I grew up from Ipoh, and then when I was 18 years old, I went to the United States to study. I stayed there for about 10 years, and I took a computer science degree, and then I worked in the Silicon Valley. After that, I came back to Malaysia a couple of years, and then I went out to China and stayed in China for about 12 years. Well, when I was in China, that was a time that I learned and practiced a lot of agile transformations, leading companies in Malaysia, in China for agile transformations. So a lot of profile that you see that I led, like Cisco, like Mastercard, there will be cross-region between Shanghai and the United States. Mastercard is something like that, and HSBC will be England, Hong Kong, Guangzhou, China, things like that. So I think a lot of you have come here to learn about Scrum and learn more about Scrum. I actually love to ask these questions. I love to get feedback from you. I'd like to know that how many of you have learned about Scrum and know what is Scrum and what's Agile. At least you have heard about it. And how many of you have not heard about Scrum at all? Like what it is, what's Agile, no idea, right? So I asked Justin, is there a way for us to collect information about this so that I can better tell you the story? Justin said, oh, no, can't do that. So unfortunately, so if you are able to tell Justin in your private chat that how many of who knows, like let me know, like I know, I have heard about it, or I have no idea, right? So if you let us know this information, it will be fantastic for the Q&A sessions. All right. When I came back from Malaysia to Malaysia last year, yeah, around the COVID period, I came back to Malaysia. I retired at 45 from Shanghai and coming back to Malaysia, intend to live a retired life in Malaysia. And then the creator of Agile and the creator of Scrum, Dr. Sutherland, give me a call and say, hey, Ethan, would you like to join me as Scrum aim to be our Asia Pacific regional partner? We know about you, we know about your experience, we want you to help. Can you help us to find and train trainers and find the good people to help us develop all the senior people so that in the Asia Pacific region, we can have practitioners that really know Scrum and really know how to do Agile transformation and Scrum transformation. So if Ethan, you'll be able to do this, you'll be able to enable a lot of powers in digital transformation and industrial 4.0 in the Asia Pacific region, especially Southeast Asia. So being a retired at 45 person, and when Dr. Sutherland called me on this, I said, okay, yes, Jeff, I'll do it for you. I'll do it with you. So here I am, the regional partner of Scrumming. My mission here is to bring my experience of Agile transformation, Scrum transformation, digital transformation from the leading company in China and also the knowledge from the United States and Europe back to this region so that I can educate more people, bring up senior people so that the entire IT industry or other industry in this region can grow. Okay. So today I would like to tell you about a story of myself when I grew up. Well, I grew up in Ipoh. I grew up in Ipoh. Now, this is one picture of Ipoh. Now, if you are really from Ipoh and you have grown up from Ipoh, you know where this place is. If you don't know where this place is, you probably are not from Ipoh. All right. So when I was young, when I was a kid, I live in Ipoh. Obviously, I live in somewhere near this place, as in the new town of Ipoh. So if you guys are driving to Ipoh to eat dim sum, so let's go for dim sum in Ipoh. That's the place that I live in, right? Across the street from that crowded dim sum areas where I grew up. So when I grew up as a kid in Ipoh, now that's one thing in my house that I love the most, is that you have a telephone from Telecom Malaysia, fixed line telephone. Now every day I'll call up some of my classmates. I'll ask them homework. I'll ask, hey, what is this? Talk about life story and things like that. Even when I was a kid, I do that. And then when I was a high school kid in Ipoh, my favorite product that time was the TVB drama. You know, that time we go to videotape stores and rent videotapes. So me and some of my relatives, right? We don't have a video recorder player at home, so we'll go into some of the places where they'll show the TVB drama in public, and then we order a coffee or something like that, and sit for 2 hours watching the drama and stuff like that. That's around my high school period. Like every day after I get off school, I really want to go and watch those dramas, right? That's high school. And then I went to the United States, and 10 years later, I came back. When I came back to Malaysia that time, the product I loved the most is Astro. Everybody was trying to get a dish for Astro. It's expensive, whatever, but there's a lot of people getting dish for Astro, right? Remember the time where Astro, when it rains, the Astro doesn't play? That was the time when I came back to Malaysia from the United States, and everybody wanted to get an Astro, wanted to watch TV program because that's your access to entertainment. Okay. Now and then I left to China. Now what I want to highlight to you is that throughout our life journeys, there's many products that we love and we use as Malaysian. And today, are those products still relevant in the market? So the first product I talk about is a fixed line telephone line in my house. So how many of you still have a fixed line telephone line from Telecom Malaysia? How many of you? A lot of people start to not use them anymore, right? So the second product I talk about, when I enjoy a lot when I was a high school kid, is TVB dramas, right? The videotape and things like that. Are we still using it? No, we are not using it, right? At least most people are not using it today. It's not relevant anymore. Even the Hong Kong channel, the TVB channel, is less relevant. What about Astro? This is a very nice story about Astro. It's have a monopoly, almost monopoly of Malaysian like cable television, right? And everybody at home would have an Astro. At least everybody that can afford would love to have an Astro. Let me ask you this: today, are you still using Astro, or have you been unsubscribing to Astro at a very alarming rate? The question is why? Why are these products that have a monopoly of the Malaysian market, right? The Telecom Malaysia phone, the fixed line phone is monopoly of the market, right? There's no other choices. Why are they having so high of a market share? And still today, it's becoming less and less relevant, or at least you are not using it anymore. Around that time when I was a high school kid, I have an auntie that run a graphic design shop, right? She was a graphic designer. She opened up a small company to do graphic design. And whenever I visit my auntie to her house, right, I would see a Macintosh on her work desk. That when I was young, when I was a high school kid, that's like very old-fashioned Macintosh, right? So it's called Mac 2, if you guys know it, right? So Macintosh 2 or something like that. But today, I'm still using an Apple laptop to do this presentation to you. So think about it. In the high school, my auntie used Apple to design graphics. Today, I'm still using Apple to do their laptop to do presentation to you. And I'm using an iPhone. Actually, I just bought an iPhone 12 Pro Max. I'm using my iPhone to shoot photo, and edit video too. How is that company like this, like Apple, can stay relevant through the course of history, whereas there's so many products in the market that can't. Why is that? And also we see some of the very innovative company like SpaceX. SpaceX create rockets that once they have used, they fly back to their base station. And NASA, for the 50 years, 60 years of technology advancement they have, they can't build a rocket like that. So they need to outsource all the rocket and things like that to SpaceX nowadays. Why are these companies, the thing they create, the product they create, why are they being less and less relevant until they become obsolete? And why is this new company that can always stay relevant and always have breakthrough that other people can't imagine? Is it because they employ smarter people? Is it because they are genius and other people are just plain like not genius? Is it so? The answer actually is not. I went to Apple. When I graduated in the United States, I was offered a job by Microsoft as well. I went there to do the interview, right? I talked to the people there. They are enjoying their success continuously because their philosophy and us is not entirely the same. Or obviously that's a very generic statement, but what exactly do you mean, Ethan? Okay. So today we live in a VUCA world, or we call VUCA world, VUCA world, right? It's a term that a lot of specialists in the Europe and US describe the modern marketplace today. It's VUCA. It's very volatile, it's very uncertain, it's very complex, it's very, very ambiguous. So we went from a stage of the market where there's not many choices, right? You only have like Telecom Malaysia, right, for your phone, right? So, and now we have many choices, right? You can communicate via WhatsApp, WeChat, and things like that, right? And also Maxis, Cellcom. There's many choices, and we are using Microsoft Teams to communicate now, right? So it's many choices. It's volatile. The fact that it's in use today might not be in use tomorrow. For example, WhatsApp. WhatsApp have a huge market penetration, and then something happened, right? WhatsApp decided to change their privacy things, and now everybody's moving to Telegram and Signals. So if you have not been moving, you better pay attention to this, right? Twitter is losing a lot of market share, right? So the situation is volatile, uncertain, complex. You cannot master all the information at once, and you just have to accept that the VUCA world is what we are living in today in our consumer marketplace. Because the world is changing rapidly like this, because there are so many choices the consumer can make today compared to what they had previously, right? When we look at the world, like the companies ourselves look at the world, right? So you look at the top diagram here, right? So we used to think like, okay, when we want to build a car or we want to build a product, we do step one, and then step two, just add on to it. Step one is always correct. Step two, just add to it. Step one, step two is always correct. Step three, we add something to it, right? We add a sheet metal onto our car. And fourth, we can give a product that everybody loves, right? So regardless of your company, whether they are selling product, selling service, selling whatever things, it goes through a cycle like this. You still need to answer the question, how are we going to stay relevant? If your thinking is like the top diagram is one dimensional, that your consumer is going to follow you, whatever you do, and everything you've done previously is correct, you just need to build on top of it. Unfortunately, I want to tell you that it is not. It is like the second diagram, right? So we thought that, okay, the consumer today, by today's data, by today's understanding, we have the consumer wants step one, the skateboard, right? And then after 3 months or 6 months, or we get more data of the market, or more feedback from the market insight, the understanding of our consumer change. Oh, we know better now. The consumer actually wants a skateboard with a handle, right? And then it changed to a bicycle, motorcycle one. This is an understanding of the markets. When we get more understanding of the market, we create product that matches their interest. And this is how we stay relevant in this market. Why is Astro not being able to do that? 10 years ago, when Astro come in here, it have a sport package. I can watch English Premier League, which I love a lot, right? I can watch some Chinese channels, some news channels, something like that. I can watch National Geographic. Today, Astro is still pretty much offering the same thing. And they are assuming that we, as a consumer, we want the same thing. We want it from the same channel. We have no other choices. Is Astro correct or not correct? If Astro is correct, you would have been subscribing to it, and your friend would have been subscribing to it like crazy. So the assumption of Astro must be something wrong. So Astro created something very fun, right? Where everybody is going online and using their mobile phone to view video. Don't be mistaken, the need for entertainment has never changed. From the day where I go to a video recorder, videotape shop to rent a video, to watching Astro, to today where I watch Netflix, the need for entertainment never changed. It's just that we have more choices. We want to have better channel of delivery. We want to have better method of payment and things like that, right? So Astro, realizing that the world has changed, they created a new app called Astro Go. I'm not sure whether you use it or not. For Astro Go is intended for people to watch it on your cell phone, right? As you go, you can watch it. But then Astro make a very interesting choice. Because he wants to protect his existing markets of the video decoder and the in-home entertainment, the Astro Go apps need to bind to something at home in order for it to function. If you think about it, that's the mentality of the first picture. What we have today is what the consumer will want to have, and we just enhance on something on top of it, right? But the landscape changes. It changes from the first picture to the second picture. Even modern company is struggling to stay relevant. In Malaysia, we have Maxis, we have DG, we have Celcom as our Celcom provider, telephone provider, right? Mobile phone provider. So let's talk about this. Let's use Maxis for example. Today, we are using Teams, we are using WhatsApp, we are using whatever things to communicate like this, right? We are bypassing the entire cellular network. This is their main source of income for Maxis, right? The cellular network, right? So they are putting up 4G, 5G, mobile data, whatever, because they want to leverage their existing infrastructure, and they assume that we will continue to want to have that. It might be true, it might not be true. What happens if some company just shoots satellite onto the sky, a space program, a space net or something, that everybody can access internet via the space net? You think that I'm joking? I'm not joking. People are doing that already, right, in the United States. If that occurs, how does Maxis going to stay relevant? So the question of staying relevant and continue to evolve with history is a big, big challenge for any business. And it's not just the business, it's the team as well. So in order to stay relevant, the business must be adaptive to the current situation. What we know of the marketing, of the landscape, is based on our data and understanding now, right? Now we have COVID-19. Now we are MCO 2.0. MCO 3.0, 4.0 is different from MCO 1.0, 2.0. So your landscape will change. Your consumer need will change. Now everybody's using MySejahtera, right? If you don't have MySejahtera, you can't enter anywhere, right? You can't even go to a coffee shop without scanning MySejahtera. In 3 months' time, is it still like that? We don't know. In a year's time, is it like that? We certainly don't know either, right? So the first of the important criteria is that if your company have the flexibility to adapt to change when your market environment change. So if MySejahtera, which having a monopoly of today's COVID scanning market, if they can't change with the situation, with the evolving COVID situation, right? They'll be gone in a year. Gone, right? So this is my advice to you. The first thing, the business need to be adaptive. In order for the business to be adaptive, the team must be agile. What does that actually mean? It means that when the business have different priorities, the teams that's working in the company must be able to follow that priority swiftly. And based on the shifting priority, adjust their work scheme and collaboration method in order to continue to deliver the business value and outcome desired. If the business, the CEO is very brilliant, he look at all the marketing data, he's been able to respond immediately, right? But your teams can't respond to it, or the team takes 6 months to change, 1 year to change, 2 years to change, then no matter how agile or no matter how adaptive the business is, it doesn't really work it doesn't really work because the team doesn't change, right? So today you are coming to a Trainocate webinar. For example, if Trainocate thinks that today the best class to sell is cybersecurity, and in 3 months or 6 months, the landscape may change. Cybersecurity, no one wants cybersecurity anymore, or substantially less. Now, if Trainocate is not able to adapt to it and change their internal work structure, program, incentive, things like that, to match a new whatever product that people liked, then it's very easy for that business provider to become non-relevant in the market. And I hope you get what I mean, all right? So for team to be agile, you need to understand the way of working is changing as well. From the 80s, we are following a process do the work and get it done by our deadline, and pretty much we work in office like this. In the 2000, the millennium, we have better information, we have better innovation, better empowerment, faster time to market, and then people start to go from the 80s to the 0-0 work environment, which is more open, collaborative, and things like that. Now, take a look at this, right? So it changes from the command and control style that used to be quite effective around the 80s to the 0-0s where people want to have more open collaborative environment because people believe that they will deliver value better, okay? So the work paradigm shift. The work paradigm shift not only because we feel that it's a better way to work, it's because the work product that we are going to create through working like this is more relevant to the market. And now in the 2020s, we work remotely, we work from home, right? Even certainly during COVID, you work from home quite a bit, like myself, right? And the collaborative method changed. So think about this: the business, the people, they are linked together. How you work effectively is to help the business to be more adaptive, producing product and business outcome that the company wants. They are together, they are influencing each other, right? So you need to find a way for the CEO and your work to connect so that whatever things that your company can push to the market is really a combination of both forces. If the CEO just say, hoo-ha, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, and then what you are working today is not related to what your CEO is talking about, your company is in danger. All right? I want to stop a little bit here because I tell you about the product, the market, the landscape, the work, right? I want to switch gear to a little bit about Agile and Scrum. I have an interview with Dr. Jeff Sutherland, the creator of Agile and Scrum, and I asked him, in the COVID situation today, is the Agile and Scrum, the new way of work, more relevant, or is it less relevant? And I want to play the video to you, okay, so that you can take a look at it. Okay, let me make sure that I open up that video. Okay, here you go. Just give me a few seconds. Let me. Okay. All right, you should be seeing my video. You should be seeing it full screen, and let me play it. Yep, let me play it. All right. Can you please tell us why at this time more people should consider using Scrum, no matter the industry? I mean, why this time? Why at this time?
In the United States, we have over 6,000 bankrupt companies. Some of the biggest companies in the United States. It's the biggest business crash in the history of the United States because people have to work differently. When you look at certain Agile companies that we follow and work with, you'll see that COVID has caused their stock price to skyrocket. So Agile companies in COVID are doing much better. And traditional project management didn't work well when people were together. And now when everybody is remote, it doesn't work at all. So if companies want to survive, they need to be agile. And the survey data shows that 77% of agile transformations in the world are Scrum. Most of agile is Scrum. And so now, more than any time in the past, everyone needs to be doing Scrum. You asked about non-software companies using Scrum. Most of our business today is with non-software companies. We work with the biggest beverage manufacturer in the world. Their headquarters is in Brazil. They own most of the beer companies on the planet. We work with the military forces, both in the UK and the United States. The US Marines has increased productivity 400% in one battalion, 700% in another battalion using Scrum. We work with 3M, we're the global trainers for 3M. They make materials. They don't like us to even mention the word software. They don't do software for the most part. They build things like Scotch tape, right? And many companies like that are using Scrum. And in fact, in 2006, when I founded Scrum Inc., one of the primary purposes was to move Scrum into industries outside of software, because at the end of the day, 90% of what goes on in the world is not software. They have some software-related components, but it's doing something else other than developing software products. So it's really important that these companies learn how to do Scrum well to be competitive. And the three most competitive companies in the world are all Scrum companies: Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple. Apple is a hardware company primarily. Microsoft is primarily software, but Amazon uses Scrum everywhere, and they're in every business today. So if you want to be as successful as the best companies in the world, or if you have to compete with the best companies in the world, you're going to be competing against Scrum. So the better you can do Scrum, the better you will be able to survive in the industry today, and particularly in the COVID environment.
Okay, let me unshare that. Let me come back to my deck. All right, you should be seeing my deck right now. So when I do the interview with Dr. Sutherland, this statement strike me a lot, right? it surprised me because I myself, I didn't phrase it this way. But Dr. Sutherland is the creator of Agile, is the creator of Scrum. The word that he says is really strong. If you are not using Agile and Scrum today, you know that you will be competing against your competitor that does. So if Astro is not using Agile and Scrum, you know that Astro will be competing against Netflix, Apple TV that using Scrum. If NASA is not using Scrum today, they know that they will be competing against SpaceX that's using Scrum and doing pretty well in that. And so far, all the data have been that we have seen all over the world, not just in Southeast Asia, in the Europe, US, China, whatever. All the data show it to us that anyone that's not using Agile and Scrum, that's trying to compete against Scrum, is going to face a hard time. Not necessarily that you're going to lose, but you're going to face substantially hard time, right? Alibaba, Taobao, Alipay, they're using Scrum. Tencent, WeChat, and WeChat Pay, they're using Scrum, right? So we are in a world that's like that. So bringing back to my deck, right? The way of working has changes from following a process to better innovation to working remotely, like what Dr. Sutherland said, right? Traditional project management, when it goes from the first picture from the 80s to the 00, is already starting to show its edge. It's starting to see that it's a little bit getting old, the way of handling projects, product, and things like that. And certainly up to today, right? The traditional project management is not very effective, especially when working from home. So in order for the traditional way of working to be successful, it needs to be a command control environment. And to get more productivity and value out of people is to have a very strong project manager, right? That gets certified, trained, whatever, to push people forward, right? You always see that, hey, the project manager will come to you and say that, hey, Mr. Wong, how long do you need to complete this task? And Mr. Wong, a very honest guy, will look at the project manager very innocently and say, oh, Mr. Project Manager, I need 5 days to complete this. And when you have a trained project manager, the project manager will go on to Mr. Wong, tap his back, and say, "Hi, Mr. Wong, you are very good. You are very powerful. Certainly doesn't need 5 days. We don't have 5 days. Our customer is waiting for us. So get it done in 2 days, please, Mr. Wong." And that's how you get things done with a lot of traditional project management and things like that, pushing people, setting timeline, things like that. Now, when we move to the new working environment, like of the 00s, right, the millennium, and the newest working environment, like here remotely, you can no longer do that. Doing that doesn't yield you results. You need a better way to work so that everybody can work together. And that's why you should think about Agile and Scrum the right way. Now, when we talk about Agile and Scrum the right way, Dr. Sutherland have this word that say True Scrum. Some of you have received Scrum training before. Perhaps not from Dr. Sutherland, the guy that created it, from various other sources, article, online, Google, whatever. The real difference between True Scrum and not True Scrum is how you go about doing it and what's the outcome that you expect to get. If you look at this picture right here, right, generating business outcome is the number one purpose of running Agile and Scrum, according to Dr. Sutherland. A lot of people learn about Agile and Scrum as a way to work. Oh, this is a cool, fancy way of working. Oh, we do this, we stand up to do meeting, whatever, right? They're just putting up a process, putting up a show. Whereas the True Scrum aligns everything to help your business generate outcome. Whether your team is good or not good is not observed through the execution of the process. Whether your team is good or not depends on whether it can generate business outcome via the execution of the process, right? So in order to be work in the Scrum way, to be agile, right? There's 4-step process essentially for anyone that's not clear enough. The first step is to collaborate. Collaborate with your customers to understand them, to understand what they really need so that you can create a great product. To collaborate with your team members so that you break down communication barrier, you forge a good relationship, everybody work together as a team, as a very unified, a strong team. You also collaborate with other departments of your companies to make sure that you have a great work system so that the entire company is able to move as a force. That's what we mean about collaboration, right? The second step would be to deliver. You collaborate to deliver something great, to deliver something that will affect your business outcome, right? It's not just coming to work, stand up to do meeting. Oh, I just do my part, I do whatever features it passes me. Everybody asks the same question. How can we deliver value? How can we deliver value on time? How can we deliver value faster, right? So that we get something out the door that is what the customer wants, okay? All right, you deliver value, you deliver it faster because you want to go to the market faster and you want to understand your customer faster. So for the COVID situation, it changes every day, every week, and things like that. What's the business situation right here? Can our restaurant open or not open? Is it 2 people dining or the entire family is dining? It changes every day, right? It's for this condition that you want to deliver very fast and you want to capture the feedback with your delivery. Your delivery helps you to test the market and get the feedback. Once you get the feedback, the data, the things like that, you can analyze them to better understand your customer. What do they actually need, right? What is the product enhancement? What is the service changes they actually need, right? In order for them to buy more and become a happier buyer from us, you reflect. And then you improve based on your data analysis and reflection, right? And that's the way to do agile circles. So in short, the truth about Agile and Scrum is about enabling work this way. You will no longer work in a stagnant team that don't know what to do every day and just receive assignment. You will position yourself to collaborate, to deliver, to reflect, to improve, so that you will generate business outcome. And if you are able to do that, trust me, you'll be loved by your company, you'll be loved by a boss. If you are a boss, right? Let me ask you this way: if you are a boss, would you promote a team and give raise to a team that generate business outcome more, or would you promote a team that generate business outcome less? If you're a boss, more or less? Of course, I love the people that generate business outcome more, right? So all the raise, all the promotion, things like that, right? The team that generate business outcome more, you'll be loved a lot better. And we really want to do this. We really want to do this in a very fun and very sustainable way, right? In Agile and Scrum, we don't push people, we don't whip people, we don't use the Mr. Wong methodology just now to tap on people's back and force people to decrease their estimate from 5 days to 2 days. No, we collaborate, understand, deliver, reflect, and improve so that we could be faster. Now, what exactly do I mean, right? And how exactly do I learn and use Scrum, right? There is actually a very simple 3-step process for everyone. Step 1, you want to have a quick start. If you haven't been using Agile and Scrum, you want to just know the very basics so that you can use it right away in your department. Whether your department is marketing, HR, auditing, sales, software, whatever. Scrum is for every single department, every single different domain as well. You just need to know how to do it. Okay. If you arrive at step 1, you should enjoy a lot of data analysis capability and the work control capability. Let me show you what our company have, right? Okay, let me pull out that. Just give me a second. Okay, it's coming up. Now you should see a task board. This is our company-owned task board, right? When you work in the Agile and the Scrum way, right, you have a lot of tools for analysis, for risk control, and things like that. You know exactly how to partition work. You work with your customer, so that everything that you need to do is written down as playing cards. Now this is example. It's our company real life thing. So I don't want to drill into more. Otherwise, I'll be telling you all of our company's secret. Yeah. So, all right. So all the things will be segregated into manageable work, right? And then you will plan whether we will do it now, we'll do it later, right? You estimate on your work accurately. So if you need more, then you need more. You need less, then you need less, right? The goal is to have real data so that you can manage your team better. Okay, a clarity of work. And then in this table, you know that who is doing what, right? Who is doing what and when, and whether it's done or not done. As team leader or manager, you will know exactly when something is getting done, right? You also have a graph that you have so that you know that is the work is too heavy according to what is not progressing well and things like that. You have a lot of control, right? So we do this for 3 weeks, many weeks, and this is a 3 days because it's before Chinese New Year and things like that, right? And you know exactly how much you can complete within that work cycle. Is 31 here, and then 48 previously. And after the Chinese New Year, we are able to complete work cycle or work total effort of 71. You know exactly of your team capability. You know exactly who is not doing what, and something is getting done or not getting done. You know when it's getting done. You know who is encountering problem. You're able to coach them, right? You know what are we not good at, so that you will be able to reflect it. One of the very important insight I want to give it to you is here. Besides building a high performance collaborative culture, you will immediately get all the tools so that you can manage your team successfully, all the data analysis. Nowadays, everybody's talking about big data, talking about AI. What is big data and AI to you? The big data and the AI, right, is when you look at a lot of user data, a lot of performance and things like that, right? So that because there's so much data, so you need the AI, the computer to analyze for you so that you can know what's the behavior of things so that you can support your decisions, right? That's AI, right? Scrum is the AI from your team. You are able to collect a lot of performance data, and very easy, very important one, and very low effort to collect them. And you will be able to put them to use. Who is doing good? Who is not doing good? Is our team doing good? Is our team not doing good? So for anyone that's new to Scrum, step one is to know how to do this and how to use it. This is very easy. Scrum is very easy to learn, right? So Scrum is very easy to get started. Use it immediately. You will see your performance boost, right? Usually at this stage of the cycle, you get 20% to 30% of performance boost or productivity boost just right away. Okay, and people will feel happier. The work is clearer. People work with you more. You see more smile and laugh in your team. You should be seeing that in your step one. If you are not seeing that in your step one, then you're using Scrum incorrectly, right? You should be seeing some changes in your business outcome. Your product, your customer actually like your products right now. They don't complain anymore, or they complain less, right? They used to be quarrel with you every time you deliver. The sales department say, oh, you are delivering something that we can't use. A lot of argument things like it start to disappear. People start to work with you and laugh and like your things more. And that's stage one. All right. So stage 2, once you are able to use this thing, is to get better at it. In order to get better at it, you must know the internal mechanics of some of the events, some of the design, some of the structure. Why is it designed like this, right? Why do we have sprint planning? Why do we have meeting? Why do we have retrospective? How to do a good job and things like this, right? So on stage 2, you want to know how to do it good, right? Now, this is the time where you want to develop leaders, so that you have strong team leaders, strong roles, some that are taking up that can give advice to teams, right? So that the team can advance. So stage 1 is to be able to use the tools, use the data, use the things to make judgment immediately, right? And see about 20% to 30% productivity improvement. Step 2, if you know what to do and how to do it, through some time of development, you should see performance boost about 100% to 200%, right? 100% is amazing though, that people say, wow, the same 5 people or 7 people or 10 people we have in our team, we now can do twice the work in half the time. And that's the feeling that you should be getting, right? Twice the work in half the time. Same amount of people, not any more OT than what you're currently doing, not changing many of the things. You still get twice the work in half the time. That is stage 2, right? What you know when you have that feeling. You know when you have that hybrid productive team, and the way to do it is to develop some of the leaders so that they know the internal mechanics. They can also customize the internal mechanics to the environment of your corporate, right? So not every single company is the same. Actually, every company, even within the same company, every department is different. You need leaders to work with them to customize it a little bit, to tailor into your environment. And that's step 2. Step 3, once you have done that, once your team is very productive, right? The next step you should enjoy is a multi-team system. Now, it's no good to be our one team that's great, our one department that's great. You need to create a multi-team system, right? Either multi-departments or many teams in one department and things like that. 200 people, 300 people, right? You are copying the good teams. You're copying your success story into many, many different teams in your work system. And that is the third stage. If you want to do digital transformation, if you want to do industrial 4.0 and things like that, this being able to arrive at step 3 is essential in order for you to even attempt to do this. Otherwise, your digital transformation, you heard people talking about, oh, we have done digital transformation for the last 5 years. And then I'll ask, what's the result? Are you beating your competition? Are you gaining market share and stuff? And, oh, no, we are just digitizing our paperwork. Well, that is not business outcome, right? When you do Agile and Scrum and really digital transformation, industrial 4.0 transformation, things that you want outcome. In order to arrive at the outcome, these 3 are the first stage that you should arrive at. All right, it's 10:50 right now. I've spoken a lot. I thought that I want to speak for about 30 minutes. It turns out that I'm getting old, so I'm getting very stuff like this, right? Okay, I really want to stop now, and I really want to pass back the microphone to Justin, right? So that we can start the Q&A sessions. All right. Hopefully you know exactly what do we mean by True Scrum by the end of it, the challenges and things like that, right? Ask anything that you like. Okay, Justin, it's back to you.
Yep. Guys, I hope that you guys have enjoyed thoroughly throughout the session with Ethan. So I think right now we are opening the floor for some Q&A. So the chat group has been enabled. So you guys can, feel free to ask any questions on the chat group.
Please ask, and I think Justin will moderate the question, and then Justin will ask me the questions, right?
Yep.
So whenever you are ready, Justin, I'm ready to answer the questions.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm waiting for the folks to,
Yeah.
So guys, don't be shy, Feel free to ask certain questions that you have thought of and arise during the entire session.
Yeah, I hope that you guys are not feeling sleepy or something like that because I talk a lot. I talk too much, I think. Yeah. All right. Any questions? So.
Okay, there's a question by Havizan.
Mhm.
All right. He asked that, is it possible for us to mix up traditional project management and Scrum?
Very good question. You always do that because everybody start with traditional project management, right? You start to identify the first mover of your Agile and Scrum teams, right? And then you start to train them and educate them and let them work in that mode first. So during this period, right, it's always parallel that you have existing infrastructure and existing project management way of doing things and the new way of doing things. The goal of the transformation is to slowly increase the bandwidth of the agile teams and slowly decrease the bandwidth of the traditional team so that the traditional are moving over and over. So that initially it will be something like many people here and less people here, right? So you grow more and more people here, and then you feel less and less people here, right? Okay. So you will always have a period where you have both. So the way of solving this thing, like I did in Bank of China. Now, when I do it with Bank of China in Beijing, 2013, that was a very difficult task. Why? Because for Bank of China, first of all, it's gigantic organizations, right? It's a bank. It's one of the premier bank in China. So the way that they're doing it, I do it for them is to have two channels. We'll call it the agile channels, and I call it the traditional channels. Traditional bank is highly controlled environment, right? So all the things need to be checked, all the documents need to be checked, everything before going out into any third parties or things like that. Very strong control. So the agile channels, we are asking, hey, what's the core things that we need to maintain here? What's the core documents that we need to have? It turns out that for Bank of China in China, right, the project manager from the project start to project finish, they need to create 55 documents. They need to create and submit 55 documents. Now, for company like this, every single document, every line in the document, you need to think very carefully what to tell your leaders is. It's not like us, right? So 55 document, you know how stressful that is. Like that's project manager job, right? So we decrease it to 17, and believe me, it's a really hard process to decrease it to 7. But at least we've done it, and we let both channel go. When we have both channel go, after 3 months, we evaluate. And then the agile channel just do really badly because people are getting used to it. People are not used to it yet because they're very green in this. They don't know how to do it. So the data looks really bad. So the stakeholders just say, hey, I can protect you for 3 months and another 3 months. If the data go really bad for another 3 months, then we will be in deep trouble. But luckily, after 6 months, things got changed, right? The agile channels are doing really, really well, and the people are looking up to this. So this is a very short story. If I want to tell this story, it will be 1 or 2 hours, so I don't want to say more. But the answer is yes, you always mix it up. All right, Justin,
Okay,
next
Ethan.
question.
Next question will be, how do you manage team resistance when Agile and Scrum is to be applied to a project?
Now, when you encounter resistance, right, usually there are several types of resistance. But the most common one is that they don't know what you're doing or what you're trying to do. They don't know it. So nowadays, right, if you're in software industry, if you talk about Agile and Scrum, is a no-brainer because everybody uses it. If you are not using it, then you're old-fashioned. So resistance doesn't come from that way. So if you are talking about non-software organization, hey, we're not used to it, nobody try it, whatever. Now we have a lot of case study already, right? Even like Dr. Sutherland said, right, everybody's using it already, right? So for people that give you resistance, right, usually they have some topics it's very important to them. They are not willing to let go, or another type of resistance will be, I don't understand what you're doing. You're scaring me. You're too advanced. You're scaring me. Those kind of things. If you're encountering I don't know what you're doing things, right? The right thing to do is to educate them. Buy them a books, give them seminars, give them webinars, give them very easy to learn courses like the step 1 courses that you have, right? To let them build confidence. Now, we have to know when people go into new things, there are 5 type of people, right? We have the pioneers, we have the early adopters, we have the early majority, we have the late majority, we have the laggards, right? We always have these 5 type of people. So for the laggards, no matter how you convince them, it's going to be hard. They will always give you resistance. Now, let me give you an example, right? In Shenzhen, they are pioneering automated running buses. That means no one drives the bus, right? It's the machine that's driving the bus, right? It runs rather quick as well, 60 kilometers. Who among you is willing to sit on some bus that's driven by machine and no driver that runs at 60 km per hour? How many of you are willing to step on it right away? Well, there'll be someone says, yeah, I really want to try new things. I'm the early adopters, right? There'll be something like my mother, right? Say, ooh, no one driving it. No, I'm not getting on that. I'm not getting on that until all the cars is driverless. Then I get on that, right? So you see a bell curve, right? There are numbers in them. I can talk more, but that's probably not right now. It's too long a story as well. In general, for people that are scared, identify what kind of people they are, use the right thing to justify, to show them, hey, we are doing good, we are not doing something that's crazy, right? And then they will be convinced. For people that's protective of things, right? I am holding up a 30 people team. I have all the power and command control. And when you say Agile is collaborate, I lose my control. So I'm fighting you. And if you have things like this, it's totally different stories, right? You need to deal with them slightly differently. The way to do it is to work with them, show them that they are still able to do some of the things that you used to do, and don't scare away. You're not taking off their power and things like that. Now, okay, the question is very general. There are many types of resistance, right? The 2 types that you should pay attention to is this. The primary one that you get is usually the people that I don't know, so I feel scared, or because I'm a laggard or I'm a late majority guy, I feel scared, right? So those are the number 1 type that you can resolve. You just need to find the right way. Okay, Justin, next question.
Okay, next question by Alfred. How can an IT department set for sales increase outcome, but only if they are supporting the company system, not directly generating any sales?
Very good question. Now, when we talk about the company, right, or you talk about HSBC, you talk about Bank of China, you talk about ZTE, you talk about Cisco, all of the department that we are converting to Agile is not like front-facing sales department, right? Okay, but the thing that produce, the things that they create can contribute to better sales or not. Now, let me give you my example at Cisco. When I lead the transformation at Cisco, I went into the division that do Cisco IP telephone. Well, you know, when you go to office, you have a Cisco phone that's IP and things like that. That is the division. Now they are the number 1 leader in that, right? Their department, they want to change this thing to Agile. It's a very wonderful story. Okay, the thing that I want to highlight to you is that they are not sales, right? But then when they are changing it to Agile, there was one incident where there's a big bank in China that want to buy from Cisco. Hey, we want to buy from you, but being a bank in China, we want our telephone to be able to input Chinese text. And the Cisco guys just went crazy. Hey, we are Cisco. We are English. We don't support Chinese text, things like that. So the manager, the director told me, okay, before Agile, when the sales team come to us about this requirement, we'll just reject it and say, hey, you escalate, right? And wait for global to make a decision, right? And then, you will never hear from them again, and the company lose the sales, and that's it. After they went to Agile, they say, okay, we are immediately working with the sales team to look into the situation. And we are able to hack out a solution, a genius solution, within 2 days, right? The way that we do this is to be able to use the Bluetooth module of the Cisco phone with and connecting with a mobile phone that the user have, and being able to use the input of the user phone to type Chinese and pipe it to the Cisco telephone. They have that solution in 2 days or 3 days. They construct a prototype in 2 weeks, and they give it back to the sales team. The sales team bring to the customer. The customer love it a lot, and the sales is done. And that sales was $2 million USD. A very small sales for Cisco, but then it enabled the capability. So if your IT department is not set for sales income, it still do things to contribute to the successful of the sales. And then if depending on how you want to split the KPI and things like that, right? You can still be responsible for the business outcome, whether it's in your KPI or not in your KPI. Okay, I give a very long answer. In summary, what you have done can contribute and increase the sale. 2, whether you want to put it in your KPI or not in your KPI is your choice. But certainly, once you have Agile and Scrum your thing, you will help the company in generating the income. Sorry, my kids is turning off my my light, so I'm going to turn it back on again. All right, next question, please.
Okay, question by Hassan. I think it's a very generic question. So he asks, how do we convince our management to adopt Agile or Scrum?
Well, ask them to come to this webinar.
This session, yeah.
Yeah, push them to come into this webinar and listen to me. Actually, I'm just joking, right? So if you look at the business landscape today, and like what Dr. Sutherland said, if you are not using Agile and Scrum, your competitor will, and you'll be competing against them. You'll be competing against like Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, 3M, SpaceX, Tesla, all these things that's going Agile. If you are in the automotive industry, BMW spending a lot of money to convert themselves to the Agile and chasing the EV markets, right? Because they're scared. BMW is actually one of the biggest clients for Scrum Inc. Merck is spending a lot of money in doing that. And whichever your domain is right now, you will be competing against Agile company. If you are in oil and gas, you compete against Schlumberger, right? And Schlumberger spend a lot of money into it. And whichever domain you are in, your some of your successful competitor is already enabling that capability. Whether you want to enable that capability is of your own choice. I think you have a much better chance to succeed in today's marketplace if you enable that capability. And some more, you enjoy working in the Agile environment much more. I promise you, much more than the traditional project manager based environment. Okay, it's actually not that hard to convince people anymore. When I was leading my first Agile team in Malaysia. Yes, I started my first Agile team in Malaysia. That was like 2003, 2004. That was the time where nobody knows what Agile is. Nobody knows what Scrum is. When I say the word Scrum, I scare people off like right away. And my boss tells them, "What are you doing?" Right? So we are not in like 2005, 2004 right now. So you are in very good position now. When I come back to Malaysia, according to my understanding, we are about like China 10 years ago. So I went to China around 2008. That was the time where every single company in China, right, is trying to learn the Agile thing and be good at it, right? So I think the Malaysia landscape here is quite similar. So I'm expecting, what I see 10 years ago in China is that the next 5 years for them was like explosive change to Agile. And I am seeing about the same thing. The next 5 years will be fairly explosive here in the Southeast Asia market as well. It's just that the problem of us in Southeast Asia to do that is that we don't have enough talent. We don't have enough good practitioner to support all this expansion. Now, if you go on Job Street right now, right, search Agile Coaches, all the listing. I have headhunter calling me every 2 weeks or something like that. I say, Ethan, I have a position for you. It's very high paid, whatever, right? We just don't have enough good people in Southeast Asia to support the business expansion. And that's why Dr. Sutherland asked me to come back to this region to train the next generation of certified trainers, certified coach that can support the further transformation in this industry. So if you have been doing Agile for a long time, do come to talk to me. I can help you to become a world-class practitioner and become a certified trainer, right? I see that a lot of people will be asking for this kind of expert in the next 5 years. Okay, Justin?
All right. One question was asking, how can we manage the team resources when the company is not completely practicing Agile and Scrum, while some projects are still having traditional waterfall? You want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please. I'm not very clear about the question.
Okay. Questions was asked, how can we manage the team resources when company is not completely practicing Agile and Scrum, while some projects are still on traditional waterfall?
It's something that I cannot tell you in general because every company is very different, right? So whenever you have a transitional period, right, you need to construct a system so that both type of work can work together. Now, if you are totally on separate projects, separate products, then you have no worries, right? You do your own stuff. The biggest challenge comes when you need to work together on the same product. Now, when I coach HSBC Hong Kong, right, they work in this way. The back end, the banking system, right, is on mainframe. It's on IBM mainframe. So they need to use the traditional way because they don't know of a better way, and they are very reluctant to change anything in the underneath banking system, right? But the front-facing, the app, the website, the whatever things, right, is all front-facing, so there's all Agile. So every time they need to change something, well, your UI, you click on it to change something, right? I do a transaction, I repay credit card, right? They need to go through the UI and then go down to the banking system to make the change, to make the system call. Now, that was a time where the old traditional project management and the newer way collide, right? You need to find a way to accommodate the both. The question is not about key resources. The question is about the work system. How do you establish a balance so that both can coexist? And it takes quite some experienced Agile coach to create something that's good in order for you to balance. Now, it's very hard to answer your question in a generic way, like how, if I see you and hear from your scenario more, I'll be able to get give you some advice. If you are interested in getting like advice like things like this, talk to Justin. He will be able to help you. All right.
All right. Next question. Best practices while doing backlog story grooming.
Now, this is a very specific question about implementing Scrum, right? This is the thing that you should learn in stage one of the things, right? Best practices, obviously there are lots. When you go and do Google online, you can find them. So I might not be best to use everybody's time to go through something like this, right? But search online. When you go to Scrum Inc. and Scrum Inc. website, and Dr. Sutherland, some of the Dr. Sutherland articles, it gives you some very clear, important points that you must have, right? So when you're asking about the best practice, you're like, what are the good to have, right? If you go to Scrum Inc. website and Dr. Sutherland articles, it tell you the must have. Those are the things that you must be able to do, all right? You must be able to do it emergently, right? You must be able to prioritize. You must be able to estimate. You must have details and things like that, right? All right. I won't want to go deeper. If you really want to learn good, right, about these things, look at some of the stage 2 classes and training that we have. Those stage 2 classes are meant to be to train more experienced people, so they're extremely good in configuring this thing to deliver business results. Okay, Justin.
Okay, question asked by Jay says that you mentioned if Scrum is done correctly, it will generate a 20 to 30% productivity improvement at step 1. Usually, what how would you measure, or what KPI do you recommend?
Well, just now when I show you the graph, right, you see there's one figure that how much things that we can do in 1 week, right? So in our own company, we use a 1 week cycle. So every week we start on Monday and then we end on Friday. So we measure how much things that we have accomplished this week, and we translate that into an estimated number. What we call that velocity, right? If you practice Scrum, you use the velocity already. So with the velocity, you will know how much things that you have accomplished, and your velocity on your team would grow. So if you have no idea, all right, I have no idea how much things that we have done. So the first step is to run a quick Scrum cycle. Then you'll know your capability. Let's say you are 20, right? So you should be able to arrive at 30 or something like that after a few cycles, right? Certainly less than 2 months, usually within a month, okay? Scrum give productivity boost that quickly, right? So very simple. And the challenge is not that, because everybody would get that. If you're not getting that, you're not even using the right Scrum tools and things like that. The question and the bigger gap goes into the 400%. Twice the work in half the time means 400%, right? Twice the work, half the time, 400%. Now, to move to 400%, that is the much bigger challenges, right? There are a lot of things that you need to do it right. You need to tune to your environment. You need to have the right role and responsibility. You need to have the team that's educated and work in this way. You need to have commitment. You need to select the right people. There are a lot of knowledge to it. Stage one, don't worry about that. Just get going. And you should see productivity boost magically happen for 20 or 30%. This is like no-brainer. You'll get that. Okay, at 11:13, the public can answer one more question, and then we need to close down the discussion already. Justin, last question, please.
All right. Okay. Question asked was, how do we help the team to have an agile mindset, even if we are running Scrum? I felt like adopting this mindset is always a challenge.
This is hard. This is a question to go from stage 1 to stage 2, right? Stage 2, you want to be good. So you want to have this already. Now, a lot of people struggle to go from the I use Scrum to work, to do day-to-day work. It's just a work process. To I use Scrum to generate results, right? In order for you to generate results, you need to have agile mindset and things like that. The question of how to do it is also differ company by company, group of people, right? So I can only give you some very generic answer. Now, the answer is to coach them as they go. So you must have someone that's already know a bit more in this area. And when your team work, right? When your team work, they started out as knowing nothing, no agile mindset, whatever. Then from time to time, in some small incidents, some more events, right? You can say, oh, here we can do it this way as well, and this way is closely aligned to the agile value and principle more. So why don't we try this way next time? There are many incidents that you can catch and things like this. In day-to-day Scrum and also in a retrospective session. The goal here is to continuously give feedback. Excuse me. Continuously give feedback. As long as you have the senior person to give the feedback, the team will slowly change, right? Now, I came back to Malaysia, I rest for quite a while, and I only started a company around November last year, right? I obviously hired someone in Malaysia as well, right? None of the people I hire in there know how to do Scrum. Today, the people that's working with me in my company know exactly about the Scrum process. They know the philosophy, what we should be doing and what we should not be doing. How do we go about thinking about things? This is what you call the agile mindset, right? And the goal is to have a senior person to give them advice, shift them into the direction step by step. This thing cannot be established like turning on a light, click, or light on, click, light off. No, mindset is not cultivated like this. It's through experience, success story. Oh, I do this way. Oh, I feel better right now. That is how you have the mindset shift, right? Obviously, bringing awareness is the first step. Practice it and learn it, absorb it is your real journey. I see many more questions as well. Unfortunately, it's already 11:16. I think Justin, perhaps that would be the end of our conversation today.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ethan, for having to share your time and conducting this webinar session. Okay, thank you all to those who have participated, and I hope you guys enjoy, learn a couple of things with Ethan. Of course, for more information, you guys can, come back to me by my mobile, or you can actually drop me an email. I believe all of you have gotten the invite via my email or my Trainocate marketing team. So any questions, please feel free to drop us an email or just contact us directly. All right, Ethan?
All right, enjoy yourself. I hope the session is useful to you all. If you want to learn to be a senior Agile practitioner and you have questions about how to become even a better one, a world-class one, really connect with me, and I'll tell you some of the things that I know and how can you elevate in your own journey, right? You can get to me by contacting Justin. Right,
Yes.
just managing some of my time right now. All right.
All right,
So
thank you, Ethan.
enjoy, everyone. Enjoy.
Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Take care.